Welcome to Soul Rising. We're your hosts, Amy and Erin. We're two everyday mediums who are passionate about taking the woo-woo out of spirituality and bringing it down to earth. So put the kettle on, grab a chair, and join us.
Hey everyone!
Welcome back. Amy, what episode is this? Do we remember? Is it 50?
59. 59.
59.
I know, crazy, eh?
That is wild.
It is wild. I was thinking about that. I was reflecting and I was like just how things come to fruition because we do them. Like it's taking action on a dream. I think yesterday's calendar, actually, I have this little calendar that I pull thing off every day, a paper off, and it gives me little messages. And there's one from the other day, but I don't know if it's here anymore. Oh, intention without action is just a wish. A goal only comes to life when you decide to pursue it. And I was thinking about that as we were reflecting on the podcast and how if we didn't decide to do it, it wouldn't exist. And that's the case for everything in this whole world. True. And so I hope that empowers you, the listener, to do the thing that you want to do.
Yeah, right?
There's nobody that's going to stop you.
No.
That's the thing.
I always like that. Like, I'm always reminded too, because sometimes I'm sure you get questions like this in readings that's like, well, there's this opportunity, like, I don't know if I should take it, or when is this opportunity going to happen, or blah, blah. There's all these sorts of things, or what if I do this? And I feel like I'm always reminded by Spirit that, like, if you don't accept the offer, if you don't go into it now, that's okay. Right? It's okay because either something else will come up, or if you go for it and it doesn't work out, that's okay because you can come back to whatever it was.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like too, it's almost that thing of if you don't try it, you might regret it, or, if you don't at least go for it. Yeah.
I think of life as a choose your own adventure story. There is nothing that's going to stop you. Like, every decision just uncovers a new door. I think it's just like endless possibilities. I really do.
Yeah. I was actually thinking about like all that stuff today because there's certain things that have come up, like I'm like trying to find, for the wedding, like I'm thinking about that. And I recently actually let go, but I decided that I didn't want to use the makeup artist that I had selected, which was a pretty big decision to make. And, I'm going to actually have one of my friends going to help me out, and that's great. And actually that works out so well. Yeah. But I was always under the impression that when I was looking for these people with the photography, with my makeup, I was like trusting my intuition on it. And for the most part, it's been great, except for the makeup artist. But then I went back and I reflected, and I was like, you know what, though? Maybe it's not because I was wrong or it didn't work out. Maybe it was because I was meant to go through that learning curve, that process of going through it and then taking a stand for myself and making a pretty big decision and saying no to that. Because before I really thought about this, I was like, well, I guess I can fix it if I really don't like it. And somebody's like, but Erin, you're paying money. It's like, that's right. I am paying money. I'm paying a lot of money. I don't want to go in and have to fix it. So yeah, I don't know. Yeah. I think there are things that happen, and I think sometimes it's not because it didn't work out. It's just because we were meant to kind of go through that process or that learning with it.
Right.
Because
there's like, I think every time you listen to your inner knowing and you're like, no, this doesn't sit right with me, I need to make a different decision. I apologize if there's noises coming through.
I can't hear anything.
Can't hear it? Okay.
No,
I hope
our
that
listeners probably can't.
Not because I'm like, stop.
I can see Amy as I was talking be like, I gotta figure something
because I'm like,
out.
how do I turn do not disturb? I know how to do it on my phone, but I'm like, how do I do it on my computer? Anyways, I'm gonna leave that alone and hope that you guys can't hear the incessant dinging. Like there's confidence that comes through every time you align with your inner knowing, and then it gets easier because you're like, oh, shit didn't hit the fan, the world didn't fall apart.
Yeah.
And I'm happier.
Yes.
So Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anytime that I've like advocating for myself was like my worst nightmare, probably up until like maybe even like 2 or 3 years ago. Like it's only been a recent thing where, and even still, when I have to advocate for myself, sometimes I'm like, but I do it anyways. But it really started for me, at least, and in other people, our listeners that you know, our parents may agree. For me, it started with having children, and having to advocate for them.
Yeah, I can see
because
that.
you don't have a choice,
sure.
right? It's your child. You have to do it. And then applying that to myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was kind of a shift for me.
So there you go. The kids taught you something.
The kids taught me to advocate for myself. And yeah. I actually think that's like the whole lesson that my middle son and I are learning together. Is how to stand more firmly in one's truth.
Yeah. And that's a big one. It's not easy. So guys, don't be hard on yourself, because I'm still hard on myself from it, but you know, it just takes time, right?
Everything takes time. Yeah. It comes back to like the last time we recorded together, we did the 2023 energetic forecast, which by the way, I actually was going to bring something up and I forgot. So I think this is a good reminder. It is the year of the rabbit. So today is January 21st. This will be airing in the future by a week.
Yeah.
But today is the Lunar New Year.
Yes.
And it's now the year of the rabbit. And I was reading about, let's see if I can bring it up here on my other screen, about kind of like some messages about the year of the rabbit.
And was it in sync with what we were saying?
Yeah, it was. Let me see if I can, and that's why I wanted to bring it up, because for you guys who have listened to that,
wow,
you will remember that
what we said.
Our lesson of the year for 2023 that we thought that we kind of channeled was peace. Right, and balance, and like the energy kind of the first half of the year being a little bit slower, and then the summer being a bit chaotic. So I'm just going to read this. It comes from Instagram, a person called Alice the Starseed Witch. The year of the rabbit falls on the Lunar New Year, which starts on January 21st/22nd, which also happens to be a new moon. This year will be especially good if you are the zodiac sign of ox, tiger, or snake. I don't think I'm any of those. I'm pretty sure I am a rooster. So rabbits' gifts are manifesting prosperity and making peace. They are kind, peaceful, ambitious, and trustworthy, and they tend to be lucky. The year of the rabbit will be about focusing on rest and introspection. The energies of the year will feel a lot more hopeful, gentle, creative, I should say, intuitive, and magical. Find your balance this year. And I read that and I was like, oh my God.
Wow.
Yeah, it's totally, I love how everything is connected.
It's connected.
I love it. Yeah. That's the magic of like,
didn't you saw somebody made a post or something on Instagram too, and you shared it? I think you shared it and you were like, this is exactly what we were talking about for 2023.
Yeah. Well, after we recorded that last batch in December and we brought through that information, I then began to see it everywhere. Like anybody that was making New Year predictions was bringing up the same energy. And then then we even, like when we did the numerology episode, and you know, it being a year 7, and that's all about balance and peace. And now with the new year of the rabbit, it's like,
kind of solidifying, and like, it's just, that is really cool. That's cool.
Very cool.
I like that. So you said for different zodiac, for different Chinese zodiac signs?
I just shut it down, but I think it said ox. I'll have to bring it back up. Let's see if I can get that back
I'll take it. It says, I'm a snake.
What are you? You're a snake? Snake was in there.
I'm a snake in the grass.
Yeah, take it.
I'll take it. Take what I can get.
It was ox, snake, and I don't remember the other, but I'm going to bring it up right now on my other screen.
Rat? Am I making that up? I probably am.
Ox, tiger, and snake.
Ox, tiger, snake. Cool. All right.
That's cool. So this is a lucky year for you. I mean, you're getting married this year.
Yeah, that's true.
A lucky year.
It's so funny. I gave a reading earlier this morning to somebody, and they're like, I haven't seen you in like a few years. Like, so how's it going? You know, any plans? Are you getting married anytime? I was like, yeah, getting engaged. They're like, oh, wow, that's awesome. I was like, maybe I meant to, yeah. I was like, you were meant to just bring it up. Yeah. So that's cool.
So do you have any updates for us? Anything you want to share in
Oh,
your life,
yes.
personally, professionally?
Oh boy. Okay. Yes. Okay. Then I want to see what's going on with you. Okay. So for Christmas, Alex surprised me with tickets for our honeymoon to go to Scotland.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I hate you and I love you all at the same time. You guys know me.
Yeah, like it's so funny too, because now I'm like finding out that I have Scottish roots more so, because the Irish connections that we thought, oh, that's where it's from, because my cousin's doing a lot of research. It's because a lot of them were from Scotland and moved to Ireland.
I see.
Yeah. So while we do have Irish roots, we also have Scottish roots.
Also Scottish.
Yeah. So I was like texting my cousin being like, where did you say we have Scottish roots in and stuff? And
we go to the same places.
Yeah. Well, and Alex's grandparents are from Scotland.
What? I didn't know that.
Yes.
So like one side is Greek and one side is Scottish?
Yeah. So his dad's parents are from Scotland. They're from Glasgow. And mom is Greek. Yeah. Or mom's parents are from Greece. Yeah.
Amazing. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
So they were born in Glasgow and then
they were born in Glasgow, came to Canada. Yeah.
So that's not even that far back.
No, it's really not. He has closer connections to Scotland than I do, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love that. We're
going to go check out where his grandparents used to live. We have that information. So that's going to be really nice. So our plan is we're going to spend some time in Edinburgh for three nights. We're gonna do Glasgow as a day trip, because everybody is like, you gotta see Edinburgh, like spend more time in Edinburgh.
So to our Scottish listeners, like, please don't, like, I'm just going by what people have told me. My husband just retired from the Navy. I think I've shared this. The last time he sailed anywhere, like with his, as a naval guy, he sailed to Scotland, and he did both Edinburgh and Glasgow, and he was like, Edinburgh is where it's at. It's the best city in the world. He's been a lot of places.
Wow.
And we both said, if we could relocate anywhere internationally, that's where we would go.
That's where'd you go.
So yeah, I think I haven't been there, so I can't speak personally, but based on him, you have to go there.
Yeah.
One place I've heard a lot of people talk about that you have to go is Arthur's Seat. So that's this.
Oh, yeah, that is. Yeah. Yes. Yeah. We are like, oh, I'm so excited. So the Airbnb that we've rented, I'm so excited about it. I'm like really excited for the Airbnb. It's it's a heritage site. So it's like a 17th century building, and then below it is like a museum. So they've like made the part of it different like apartments they're renting it out, I guess, or people can stay. And then it's part of like a museum that you can go visit below.
I love it.
Yeah, and it literally looks like Harry Potter.
Do some ghost cam stuff. Do some spirit stuff.
I was honestly thinking, I was like, Amy, we should do a podcast live from Scotland.
On your honeymoon.
On my honeymoon. Yeah, I was like, so, you know what, Alex, you're going to have to wait.
I'm here for it if you want to do that. But yeah, like, no, enjoy your honeymoon. But like, that would be amazing. Oh my God.
Maybe Alex will want a bit of a break from me. Maybe we want a break.
Edinburgh is a very walkable city and like very hilly. So you might be tired.
Yeah, we might be really tired. But anyway, so I'm really pumped about that.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
We're so excited for you.
I know.
I say we because I'm sure our listeners
I'm so excited. I know I thought about some of our listeners too in the UK, and yeah, really exciting. And then we're gonna rent a car. Alex is very brave. And we're gonna take a trip. We want to go see
on the other side of the road.
I know. Yeah,
everything's standard over there too, I think. So I've been told.
Well, we can get an automatic. It's just a little bit more money. Okay. So Alex is like, you know what? Let's just spend a little bit more money because I'm at least familiar with the automatic. I know how to drive that.
Yes.
And And then so we're going to travel to the around Isle of Skye.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, our goal
That's
is to
really
stay in a
exciting.
castle, so we're like trying to find that, but not
Did
as
I tell
easy
you?
as you would think.
Well, it's funny because did I tell you that when I was doing my ancestry research, one side of my family, particularly my maternal father's side, sorry, my maternal grandfather's side, um, Scottish. So all four sides, we've got Scotland here, but his side, I was able to track back to like the 1200s. Okay,
Wow.
and there is a castle that bears the like, so not his family name but like his ancestors family name, McLean. There's a castle that belonged to that family that still exists,
Oh,
and it's
I'm
in the
not surprised.
Highlands. It's in the Highlands, and it they do like events and weddings and all this kind of stuff. And I have this plan one day to like go and have like my ancestor, all my family tree, and be like, look, I am a relative. I need to stay. I need to stay here. Yeah.
It's the
Yeah.
McLean Castle, you said?
I will look it up.
Look it up and send it to me
Yes,
because we'll
I
put it on
will.
our. We've got because we're just gonna tour. We just want to, I think we're gonna stay. We're either deciding if we want to stay in Loch Lomond
Yes.
or like Inverness or somewhere for a little bit, like for the night, and then we go up. I think we want to go to Portree, because they say like that's a good base for Isle of Skye. So, but if our listeners have any suggestions, I'm here for it. So please let me know. But yeah, send me.
Just reading something about this. I don't know about you guys, but like sometimes I'll read one thing and then I'll get on Wikipedia and then you're like reading an article and then you click on something else and then eventually 5 hours later you're like, how did I get here?
Yeah.
Anyways, I was reading about something about Scotland. So I have ancestors. My father's mother's side, the MacLeods, directly come from the Highlands, and something about the name Harris is coming through. I feel like there's a place called Harris. Anyways, I was reading about that and that place, and then I was reading about kind of like the how Scotland is almost if you look at it like split in two. There's like a gorge kind of thing that happens in the Highlands, and how that and Newfoundland used to be connected before the last like platonic or whatever it's called shift.
Yeah, the shift,
right? Yeah, so there's a I can't remember what the names are, but there's like the land is exactly the same.
Wow.
And there's fossils and things that they have found exactly the same. So like at one point they were connected, which makes so much sense if you know the east coast of Canada.
Oh yeah, well that's a lot of people immigrated, right? From
Well, yeah, that's where I'm from, and then I've got like all four sides from Scotland, right? So and Nova Scotia is literally New Scotland.
Yes.
So a lot of the place names in Nova Scotia are like we have New Glasgow, there's Aberdeen.
Yes.
Like there is so many
just
so many of the same
references.
Names.
That is so
I'm so excited for you. Please take lots of pictures.
Oh, I will. We plan on it. Yeah. I honestly like, and now that he got us those tickets, I'm like, I'm not even thinking about the wedding. I'm like, we're gonna go to Scotland, and literally right after the wedding.
Oh, so exciting. Yeah. It's gonna be a whirlwind.
It's gonna be a whirlwind, but
oh my God.
It'll
be fun.
Excited
for you.
And my other news is, speaking of ancestors, so I don't know if you ever have those moments with your family where you're like, wait, what? And they're like, yeah, I thought you knew that. And I'm like, no.
Yeah. I had the moment like when my grandmother decided to drop the bombshell that her grandmother was a medium. That was one of those moments for me.
Well, I'm wondering if I should tell my grandma that I'm a medium, because maybe you also have something like that. But my grandmother so her mother is half Indigenous. So my great grandmother is half Indigenous. I never knew that.
Amazing. Do you know what?
No, and she doesn't know either. She doesn't know either. So, and you know how they didn't keep records well back then, and especially with Indigenous communities. But I don't.
You should really get on ancestry.ca.
I know.
Though. Do you know what's amazing? It's funny because my next where I was gonna go was like talking about ancestry too, and actually talking about that specific grandmother that I just mentioned.
Yeah.
So like I'm now like of over a year into my ancestry journey.
Yeah.
I've recently like connected further with my Frost family. So we've talked about the last name Frost.
Yes.
This great grandmother of mine,
Yep.
Mary Frost.
Mary Frost, shout out.
You know, it's really, really funny too. A little shout out to somebody that some of you may know. Moments before I met with Erin today to record, I sent Asha Frost, who is a Hay House author, a message. We talk once in a while because after I read You Are the Medicine, which is her book, she talked about places here in Ontario, and then she's got this last name Frost, and she's Indigenous. So I'm like, I reached out to her and I'm like, oh my goodness, you know, like my maternal grandmother, there's Frost, that's the Frost line for us, same place names, like what are the chances that we're related? So anyways, we were chatting. She sent me a voice note this morning. We were chatting about that, and she's like, please keep me in the loop because I bet we're related somehow. So that's funny. But through that line, I've connected with a bunch of cousins.
Yeah.
They even invited me to a Facebook group that's specifically for descendants of two people.
Whoa.
And there's like over 100 people in there. We're all like related. But something that I discovered through my ancestry. So I always knew I was Indigenous because my father is Indigenous.
Yes.
So I always knew that I had Indigenous background. I have status. It's always been a part of my life. And that's Mi'kmaq, which is Atlantic Canada, and some of New England as well. But what I discovered with my ancestry DNA is that my maternal line is indigenous as well. So Métis and Cree. So I thought that was amazing.
See, like all these things, you just you never know. And then all of a sudden, like it just comes out.
Yours.
I know. I really do. I really, really do. Yeah.
Yeah. Or even like Alex, like, cause you can like, they also like once you do your ancestry DNA and you're like looking in there, you can even see like a world map and you can see where your connections live in the world, like where they are. Yeah. So when I look and like, there's people in New Zealand and Australia and like mostly in the UK, Australia, and North America.
That's really cool.
But I'm just like, that's so cool.
Yeah, I gotta do that. Yeah, I wonder if like Alex's clan and my clan ever fought.
You know what's funny is like that same side of the family that I'm talking about, the Frost side. So they originated in Scotland, obviously, and Northern Canada for the Métis and Cree side. But they had the kind of their home base. The Frost family has really, really deep roots in a place called Fort Collonges, Quebec, which is just on the other side of the Ottawa River, up towards Petawawa and Pembroke, like just right across. So that's where they were for hundreds and hundreds of years, and then they went to North Bay, Ontario.
Right. Okay.
And why am I telling you that? My mind just completely went blank. Oh, because my father-in-law last Christmas, when he found out I was really interested in this stuff, sent me a website that somebody in his family had started to compile about the Brookes family. But beyond the Brookes is like another last name, Elliott. And so I was going through that and looking up those names, and I discovered that side and my Frost side lived across the river from each other. We're talking like 10 kilometers away from each other at the same time. And I said, what are the odds?
What are the chances?
Like, what if our like great grandparents passed each other on the street or like knew of each other?
Well, I wouldn't be surprised, right?
It's a small place, right? We're talking about like the early 1900s, right? Like, I'm like, that's crazy. When you think about what a miracle it is that any of us even exist, like how many chance encounters had to happen.
Oh, I know. I know.
Yeah. Like if Alex's parents hadn't moved here, you would have never met Alex.
I would never met Alex. Yeah.
I know.
It's
wild.
That's
a mind bender when you really start to think about it.
It is. Yeah. So now I want to do this ancestry thing, and I want Alex to do it. Yeah. I want to know some more about that Scottish history that's like way down that line.
I definitely would. Yeah. So exciting.
Yeah. What else is new? Tell me, what else is new with you? Anything else?
Not really. No, not really. Well, I mean, it's funny. Pardon?
I was like, do you want to save it for the end, or do you?
Oh, about what I'm launching?
Yeah.
Is that what you're thinking about? No, I can talk about that. I was also going to share about it's funny because when I was doing I did my own like 2023 kind of spread on New Year's Day, right? I have a specific deck that's called the Tea Leaf
yes.
Oracle, right? So I only really use that for this New Year's spread for myself. They're like little round cards.
Yeah.
And so I ended up doing a spread for myself. It was 4 cards per month of the tea leaf ones. And then I used another deck for like each season, and then one overall lesson of the year for myself.
Yeah.
And anyways, that spurred an offering then, because people saw that and they're like, oh my God, can you do that for me? So I'm still working on those. Because a bunch of people wanted those.
Yeah.
But something that kept coming up, like especially through the summer, was like movement, prosperity, all of this kind of stuff. And I'm like, whoa, it's like the cards know that I'm moving. And then I was also reading, I think yesterday or the day before, I was on YouTube, and I was working on somebody's like tarot reading, and as I was doing the cards and stuff, I was listening to somebody talk, and they were talking about Capricorns in 2023, and there was like all this messaging about a potential move and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, it's like they know. So yeah, we are starting that process. We've reached out to a realtor on the other end in Nova Scotia, reached out to one here.
Wow.
So as soon as the rush of January dies down, because I've been like extremely busy this month, I think I'm going to kind of block a little bit of my schedule for February and really start to tackle some of the projects, mainly decluttering. I'm going to pack up most of my books.
Yeah.
I'm going to.
Yeah, because packing is it's that thing that you're just like, it just takes so much time. So much time. That's the annoying thing about moving, is the packing sometimes. Yeah.
So we're starting the decluttering process, and like take anything that we're not going to be using in the next couple months, packing them up.
Well, good.
And then listing the house, and then at some point this spring, we still haven't worked out if we're both gonna go do a house hunting trip. But that would include then bringing the kids. So like logistically, I'm at school, and we're like, does one of us go on our own? And then
How do you work that
we're
out?
even bantering with like, what if we just virtually purchase? Like, I don't even know. I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, like, I know this is different, but like my brother and his girlfriend did that for their rental because they didn't have a choice. Like they weren't. So they moved to Vancouver, so they were looking at places, and luckily they have friends there, and I'm sure you have friends there, right?
I have people that could scout it out, or even meet with the realtor and like FaceTime
make sure it's legit, all that stuff.
Yeah. So that kind of stuff is in the works, but more recently, close to right now, more current is I'm launching another podcast. So do not worry, Soul Rising is not going anywhere. We're going to continue recording. We love it. It's not going anywhere at all.
No.
But I've noticed over the last couple of months that my soul was like wanting to talk more, if you can believe it. It's kind of a theme that I've uncovered. And it kind of presented itself. Like I've been working on the podcast since October.
Yeah.
So I've been recording bits and pieces here, and something that I uncovered was this common theme, which I reveal in episode 2. First episode that's going to come out is just like a 5-minute welcome.
How tantalizing?
Yes.
Not tantalizing.
You have to listen.
Tantalizing.
So then episode 2, it's kind of scary to me because it's the most vulnerable I've ever got in a public setting. So it's really my story of how I got here, and me uncovering this common theme when it comes to any sort of traumatic or upsetting event that I've ever had. And there's been a common theme, and how sharing is the ointment for that wound. So I've just felt this call to go really deep and share.
Yeah.
And it's really funny too, because I've got this little sticky note on my wall, and I've had it here 2 years maybe. I took like a mastermind business course when I was rebranding to the Intuitive Rising, and we were kind of asked to come up with our pillars. Like, what are your pillars of your business? And I wrote down what they were, and then I forgot about it. I guess I've absorbed that in some way. This was actually kind of hidden behind my monitor here on the wall. So I kind of forgot about it. But obviously it's aligned with me and how I do my work. So this podcast, I decided it's going to be like steeped obviously in sharing what I'm learning about or channeling information, sharing wisdom.
Yeah.
But it's through the lens of storytelling because I've discovered that I'm a natural storyteller. It's also a way for me to tap back into my Indigenous ancestry of sharing through story.
Yes, yeah.
So I feel like I'm healing a lot of stuff ancestrally as well.
Yeah.
But today I was preparing for this morning and I look, this kind of like, it fell off my wall. So it's been like taped. This sticky note's been taped. It fell off my wall. And I'm like, okay. And it says, my pillars: wisdom, truth, storytelling, entertainment, and authenticity. And I went, whoa, like that's exactly what it's all about. So I
That's
love,
so great.
I forgot. I was like, yeah, like storytelling has always been something that.
Yeah. I love that. Totally different lens, similar genre, if you will.
It really is.
But you're going deep.
Going deep.
And I know that I can't wait to go on that journey with you. So I'm sure our listeners also can't wait either.
Yeah.
Scott,
so I'm excited about that.
Cue the sound effects for the applause.
No. So that's actually a story in itself too. So that's being launched in 2 days, which for us is January 23rd. Now that's a synchronicity kind of event, synchronistic kind of story in itself. And I'll tell you about it really quickly. So first of all, so I was talking to a friend, actually Melissa, remember a friend of the podcast, Melissa,
shout
who
out,
had a reading. Yeah, had a reading back, I think this time last year when we had her on air. I was talking to her about this podcast and she asked me about it and I kind of put out, I'm thinking about January. You got to remember this is back in the fall.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about January. I'm thinking about, what about January 11th? Because then you got 1, 1, 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
And she's like, I like it, but for whatever reason, I can't stop thinking about 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. And as she said it, my whole body like vibrated.
Yeah.
And I said, do you know what January 23rd is? And she said, no, what? And I said, it's the 5th anniversary of my father's passing. Which, as you guys know, was really the thing that went and made me realize that was
the catalyst. Yeah.
That was the thing. So I'm like, that could not be more perfect. And she definitely was channeling spirit.
100%.
Yeah. When they were like, what about 1, 2, 3, 2, 3, which is magical in itself. And then I was also adding it up and I'm like, that actually adds up. 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. That's 6. I don't know why that's important other than the fact that he was
6 is
born on the 6th of a month.
Okay,
the
there
6th
you go.
Day.
Yeah.
He was 60 when he passed.
What do you, Amy? What do you mean there's nothing there?
I'm working it out as we're going. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh, yeah, right.
Right.
Yeah.
I got it. 6 is obviously influential. I should look up 6 in numerology and just see what a 6 year is all about because
see if there's anything there.
Something there. So interesting.
That's
I just
really
thought that was kind of an interesting synchronicity. So that's going to be live on the 23rd of January. You guys are listening in the future because this episode's going to be airing on the weekend after that.
Yes.
So search for The Intuitive Rising, or you can even search for Amy Brookes, and both of these podcasts will come up. The podcast, I should say, is called The Intuitive Rising Podcast.
Yes. And remember when I sent Amy the little write-up and I wrote The Intuitive Rising Podcast, and I wasn't thinking about it, and she goes, oh, I wasn't going to say, Amy's like, I wasn't going to say anything, but it's so wild.
I wasn't going to say.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just yet. No, she was going to tell me, but
I know,
but since
that kind of was like,
that was really cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So a nice little nudge.
I decided to keep it the same. I share in the podcast as well, like why The Intuitive Rising, like why did I even rebrand to that back in 2021? My original business name was Medium Amy Brookes. My logo was a lighthouse. Do you guys know that? Do you remember that? Like this hangs on my wall. There's a lighthouse. That was my original logo. And I switched it up in 2021 because I had a download.
Mm-hmm.
That was, hey, there's something here for you and you're going to create a community. And
you really have, Amy.
Thank you.
You have. I don't know if anybody's I'm a terrible follower on your Facebook page, but if you're
That's
following
okay.
Amy, you definitely have to check out the Facebook page because it really is a good sense of community there. And I love seeing when I go on it, I see other people posting things
Talking.
and sharing things. Like, that's awesome.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
So it's like overkill because I realized like that I mentioned that community in the podcast in the beginning, but then also at the end of the episode. So like I won't talk about it all the time, I promise. But in that episode, in one of the episodes to come, on my solo podcast, I do extend the invite. Because when I created that Facebook page, that community, it was to always be a sister community to the podcast. So listeners had a place to go.
Yes.
Now, my dream, my goal is one day to have a physical place.
Yeah.
Whether it is like an actual all the time place that stays mine all the time, whether it's a retreat weekend, whether it's an event, I don't know.
Oh,
like
retreat,
there's so many moving parts. I know, retreat. So many moving parts with that. That can be like a little road trip for you and Alex. You can do a little like Nova Scotia tour and then, like spend a day with me.
You know, we have to do that regardless. Yeah.
One day. And so that's in the works. But then I thought, just because I can't do that yet does not mean that I can't do something.
No, exactly.
Right now.
Yeah.
Right?
What's stop? Like we just said, nothing's stopping you. Who's gonna stop you?
Do you know what remember we talked about spirit guides and Matthew kind of introduced himself to me. I've been talking to Matthew a lot. And I love Matthew is very like tough love with me sometimes, and I love it because I need it. And I'll say something, or I'll get into a mindset where I'm like, or what if it doesn't work out, or what if I can't do this, or what if I fail? And I always hear, so what?
Yeah,
like so what?
So what?
And I'm like, Matthew, but seriously, so what?
It's true.
Like maybe there's a lesson in it, right? If we took away the thought that everything that doesn't happen for us as we wanted to is a failure, like
that's what. Remember, we were just talking about that with my makeup artist, right?
That's what I was thinking about.
Yeah, not a failure.
What's the worst that can happen?
Yeah.
What's that saying? I've heard it before. It's like every no, or it's like a form of protection or something. Every time something doesn't work out, it's actually a form of protection.
Yeah, it's just not meant to be, or wasn't.
Or it's a no or not yet.
It's a not yet. Yeah.
Not this way.
Not this one. It's meant to come about this way, right? Like, honestly, because if that didn't happen so last minute too, well, I mean, because it's, I could probably find another makeup artist, but if that didn't happen that way, I think my friend wouldn't have said, well, I'm not a makeup artist, but I love doing makeup. I can definitely help out. And shout out Erin. Her name is also Erin. She's really good at it. So, and that's just so nice. Like, I just couldn't think of a better way to, to celebrate than to have my friend there doing it, right?
That's what kind of wedding we had too. Like, we didn't have a lot of friends there because at the time we lived in Nova Scotia. We got married in Ontario though. So like it was more family based, and we had a very small wedding. We've talked about this before, but I was kind of like low key, I guess, like pretty low key bride in the sense, but people did stuff, like my cousin and my cousin's long-term girlfriend baked my cake, baked the cupcakes. People brought things,
community.
People did things like that. Yeah, it was very community based, and it was just lovely. Mm-hmm. And I didn't even care. I was like, I don't even care what the cake looks like. We would like it to be lemon because lemon is our communal favorite taste, and we would like a sunflower incorporated it somehow. That's all I care about. Somebody else decorated the place. Somebody else did the whole thing. Like, I was just like, whatever, I'm just going to show up. Like, you also have to remember at this point, we've been dating for 8 years.
Yeah.
We had a mortgage and we had 2 children. So I was like, let's just get her done. Like, I don't even care.
Yeah. I hear you.
Sign the paper, get out of here.
Let's go down to City Hall. We're just going to celebrate after.
I would have. I actually thought about it, but we just thought, you know what, like, we're the first of both siblings on both sides to get married. We should do something.
I guess.
I guess. But Scott was kind of shocked that I agreed to the backyard wedding anyways in Ontario, because I had always said we're gonna get married on the beach. I'm gonna be barefoot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen. Do you know
remarry? We'll get
your Yes, because do you know
Renewing.
how many times that has actually come up in my readings this past week?
That people are getting remarried?
Yes, vow renewals has been, and everyone's like, yeah, actually. I'm like, are you serious? Because literally the person before you, this came through, and they're also getting their vows renewed.
Oh, there's an energy of it.
I was like,
I love it. Do you know, it's funny too. This is a full circle moment. Maybe we'll end it around here.
Yeah.
I do want to share a little bit about something I brought up on the screen about the year of the rabbit, 2023. Yeah. But Scott and I always said, wouldn't it be amazing if the first trip that we took to Scotland, we got married outside a castle and we renewed our vows? And I get like how do you pronounce the ring? Is it a clada ring? C-L-A. I can't remember how to.
Listen,
I would say clada, but I don't think it's right.
It's not. I want to say clavicle, but that's definitely not
that's
it.
Not it. It's the one with the crown.
It's okay, hang on. Okay, yeah. Crown.
I think it's like friendship, love, and loyalty, or something like that. It's C-L-A-G.
Clada. Irish.
I don't know how to say it.
Traditional Irish. Let's see. It's isn't it? Let's see. Okay, pronunciation.
I think it's Gaelic, and Gaelic words are not pronounced as you would expect. They have like a I would say clattering, and when I say it, people know what I'm talking about, but I also feel like that intuitively is not right.
Oh, I like it, because clada also, listen to this, Amy, means the shore. Is an area close to the center of Galway City, where the River Corrib meets Galway Bay. Clada is most famously international for the Clada ring. Yeah.
I always said we'll get those like when we
by the shore.
Yeah, I love
Near
it.
the castle.
I love it. So that's funny. We're coming full circle. With our
I love it.
Ancestry. Somebody is saying go to Scotland too.
Come with us. Just surprise us. I won't tell.
Oh yeah, can you imagine? Hey, by the way, Amy and Scott are coming on our honeymoon. Yay!
No, I wouldn't tell Alex until we get there and we accidentally bump into you.
Run into you in a pub.
In Arthur's Seat or at a pub. Yeah. What are the chances? So weird.
Meanwhile, we've been like coordinating it. Okay.
All right.
Let's do a little wrap up with the year of the rabbit, because today is the Lunar New Year.
Yes.
I'm going to read this. This is from stylecaster.com.
Stylecaster.
Okay. So let's see. So it's 2023 means the year will bring even more introspection, peace, and hope. A great year. 2023 is a great year to be firm with your budgets, finances, and plans while maintaining an open mind to grand opportunities and changes. Mm-hmm. It's a season to hone into your imagination, intuition, and instincts with artistic inspiration as a focal point. The rabbit encourages you to fill your heart and soul with hobbies and crafts. That has been coming up a lot in the 2023 readings I'm doing.
Wow.
Where it's like that's asking you to tap back into like, what is it that you really, it's about finding balance between what you have to do and what you want to do.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
It's cool because like with some of my wedding stuff, I'm like, I'm going to make this, or like my bachelorette, I'm like, I'm going to make glitter shoot. Like I'm going to be crafty. So that's
do it.
Cool.
Any activity that instills inner harmony will reign supreme. Meanwhile, water, because water is an element of 2023, it comes through, signifies ease and mobility. Use your consciousness for developing multiple backup plans in case of surprises and switch-ups, and make sure to assess and read the situation before making a move. However, it's likely possible exciting travel or moving aspirations are cementing to reality. It's time to get started on solidifying your next grandiose adventure.
Yes, Rabbit, I'm here for it.
I love it. I love it. Everything. So what it says is, as we navigate our changeover from the fierce, straightforward, and interpersonal focused water tiger of 2022, the water rabbit of 2023 calls onto us to bestow upon ourselves what we are looking for. Concentrate on tuning into your gut and emotions. This is so resonant of our forecast that we put out. The universe is ushering us officially into our self-care era. Everything we are working on and desire in us is in us as long as we approach it with kindness, sensibility, cunningness, and ambition. So it's about being smart, right? Like a
We're
rabbit
planning.
is quick.
Yeah.
A rabbit is smart about its moves too.
Yep.
I think that's what cunningness means.
Yes.
To be smart about it, right? Like, so we need to find a sense of balance.
Yep.
With like taking the risk, but also being smart about the risk.
I mean, evaluating it, right? Before you, making sure you've got all your eggs in the basket, you know, or whatever it is, right? Like, what's that saying?
I've used that so many times, like this week alone. In fact, one 2023 reading I did, it was like, I kept saying, where you're putting all your eggs in one basket and you have to stop because you're like, something that was coming through was like, you can't stay in your lane. There's so many lanes, different lanes, right? Like stop trying to stay in one lane. You just cannot. You're missing all of this. So stop putting all your eggs in this one basket. Take up space. Put the blinker on and switch lanes.
Take up space. I like that. Space. Yes.
That's one of my goals is like, I say that in the podcast. It's like taking up space.
Yeah.
Being seen, being heard.
Yeah. Because that's a big part.
Not apologetic.
Yeah, no. Full circle. We're talking. This really is full circle because we were just talking about advocacy too.
It's full circle moment. That reminds me of what we're just saying. It reminds me of. Oh my God! Look at the card I just pulled.
Can we swear on this podcast? F off! Are you kidding me?
It's a rabbit, guys. I'm just pulling a card live. Those of you on Facebook.
This almost feels like it's our Bluth moment. Bluth? No.
Right?
Booth. Sorry. Bluth is from Arrested Development. Booth is Amy's dream.
The Booth partner. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't know what that's about, go back.
And watch that or see that. It's a wild ride. Yeah.
That's one where I can't remember. It was from summer or spring of 2022. Maybe I'll link it in the show notes. Let me make a note.
Yeah.
Let you know what episode that was. Yep. Link episode about Crazy Dream. About Booth partners.
Oh, and then we'll save it for the next podcast.
Okay. So I'm just going to quickly, I pulled this card because I felt called to pull from the Woodland Wardens today.
Of course.
This oracle deck for a little message for you. And the rabbit comes out. It is really called the hare. Instead of
tomato.
Okay. It's the same thing. What page are we on? One thing I do not enjoy.
There are so many people too.
Creator,
oh, I know.
Please put page numbers next
to your
next to what the card is because this is annoying.
Sometimes I don't want to go A B C D E F G in my
right. Because it's not even in alphabetical order.
Oh, now that's even more. Okay.
That's worse. Okay, so the hare and the oak, meaning new opportunities. Hares are often symbols of fertility and love associated with the Celtic goddess. Not going to attempt to pronounce that. Eostre.
Celtic.
They represent springtime, a season of birth and abundance. A variety of ancient cultures have linked the oak tree with bravery and vitality. In ancient Greece, the oak was revered as the tree sacred to Zeus. In Norse mythology, it represents the tree of life, and in ancient Celtic and Druid cultures, the oak was associated with the god Dagda. A celebration of good fortune is in order. If you have been in a caregiving role, this is a reminder that your sacrifices will all be repaid. Balance, right? Order. Questions. What can I celebrate today? What exciting opportunities should I follow up on?
Mm-hmm.
I love that. That is the energy of 2020.
That speaks volumes. Yeah.
Volumes.
Mm-hmm.
That was just one of those amazing, like we have that thing though, when we're pulling cards on this podcast, it always validates exactly what we were just talking
what we were talking about. And
that's just crazy to me. Yeah. So thanks for joining us.
That's such a great note to end on. Yeah. Thank you guys.
And I just looked down. 50-50 was what we were recording there. So yeah, amazing. See you next week, guys.
Bye.
Thank you.
If you like what you're hearing, don't forget to give us a 5-star review on Apple Podcast and tune in each week as we dish on all things spiritual.
Don't forget to like, comment on what you would like to hear us talk about next, and subscribe.